Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we're talking about this big green Shrek over here next to me, your favorite guy who dabs in a coffee shop during Endgame, Hulk. And I'm talking about Hulk because I've managed to put together a decent PvP build for him, and I want to show him off in PvP because although I don't think he's good for PvP now, I think he could have value in the future, and he shows flashes of brilliance in an otherwise semi-disappointing package. So that's kind of the summary. Flashes of brilliance with otherwise disappointing gameplay. So kind of like, you know, Carmelo Anthony recently in the NBA, or even Hooded Melo versus whatever he does on the court. There are better examples, but I just can't think of them at the moment because I haven't actually watched a lot of NBA action. Anyways, I got his gears 22, 20, 25, 22. The important part here is I've got 5-star HP Uru, which is not the max, but it's pretty damn close, and I've maxed out his one defensive gear. Now he does have other defensive gears with the physical defense here, but otherwise we're basically talking about that one. We switched around his CTP. I took off his Rage CTP to do all those goofy videos with Gamora and Vision, and I gave him a CTP of Regen. I rolled this one. It doesn't have the best proc here. It's a 25-8 instead of a 35-10. But it's got a pretty decent max HP and it's got a very high recovery. We want high recovery because he just doesn't heal for that much. He only heals for 3%, so we want to make that 3% matter when it ticks. Yeah, so that's kind of the idea here. So we did max out his recovery rate. Max is 250, in case you're wondering. That's the cap. So we're at 245.96, which is quite nice. We did roll also the 4th gear to recovery rate if you didn't catch that when I was going through. And then his uniform could be better. It's mythic. If I were to upgrade it right now, or sorry, it's heroic. It could be mythic. If I were to upgrade it to legendary, it would only gain an extra dodge stat, which I don't think is going to be that useful for him. But I do think if you could bump his dodge up, it might help him to survive a little bit more against the kind of Captain Marvels. This team up, however, is the one that's kind of inflating his stats. If I go over and switch him, you'll see that he's actually rocking about 46,000 HP and 23,000 physical attack. Not that high, to be honest, for a level 70 character with a uniform. Could be higher. But when you switch to his team, he's now rocking over 25,000 and more importantly, over 61, almost 62,000 HP. So let's take him into some PvP now and see. First, we're going to show off some manual play, then we're going to show off some auto play, because it's actually quite a big difference. We're going to go in against this team first. In general, I would say that unlike some of the characters that I've covered recently in PvP, Captain Marvel and Tier 3 Thanos, Hulk does not have, he's not a catch-all. He definitely has certain characters that he absolutely cannot face whatsoever. But one of the really nice things about Hulk is that he does quite well against both combat and speed types. So you can see here he handled Wolverine quite well at Tier 3, which is impressive, and he's going to be able to interrupt Deadpool here and basically nullify him. That was quite easy. I mean, this is autoplay, which is not the best example, but we can here also interrupt Captain Marvel, and I actually won that fight. Now, you're probably, right now, your jaws has dropped, and you're thinking, what the hell is going on? Cynicalex, you just soloed 3 Tier 3 characters like it was nothing. You slapped that Captain Marvel around the way that Hulk slapped Loki around in the original Avengers movie, and the way that I wanted Hulk to slap Thanos around in Endgame, but he didn't. He did nothing. I know. But let's rewind the tape now, and let me explain to you exactly what happened. This team has no debuff lead, and it has no Wasp. That is the primary and secondary reason why I was able to win that fight. And this is what I mean by flashes of brilliance. If the debuff meta were to fall out of Marvel Future Fight, I have no idea how that ever would happen. Or if for some reason they gave Hulk, if they changed his 3rd skill, Box or Shuffle, and they made it so that it was unaffected by debuff, then he would be a monster. Because basically what's happening is it's a 2-second bind and a 2-second stun, and then the fracture on top. But I'm basically able to pull Captain Marvel, pull Wolverine, Deadpool out of their iframes and stun them and start hitting them. And then I can always combo 3 up because I have the initiative and they're stunned. I can always combo it up with 2. 2 gives me the damage in the iframe, and it also buffs them, like it gives them a debuff so that they have a harder time attacking me. I'm gonna make it easier for me to dodge, and it's also got the stun and the fracture. So I can combo 3 and 2 really smoothly, and I can also combo 3 into 4 4 gives me the immunity, which gives me some protection because not a lot of CMs are running Destruction. A lot of them are running Rage for ABX. And so I can use the immunity to kind of protect myself. It's a little bit weaker against Wolverine because his 4th skill has immune penetration and he kind of doesn't have the type disadvantage the way that Deadpool does against me. But that was kind of the ideal situation. And that is kind of the ideal team to face. Here's another one I'm going to show you. This time around, instead of leading with Deadpool, who, you know, only buffs himself, and basically Captain Marvel and Wolverine had no buffs, we're going to go ahead and fight Captain Marvel. Now, in this case, we still get the stun off with this one, but now, see, we can pull her out of her iframe and we can stun her. And this is miraculous. I gotta say, I'm dead. I gotta say, I'm actually so impressed with the little that Hulk is able to do at times. You can see here he bodies Wolverine. That was a tier 2 Wolverine, so it's not as impressive. But because of the way that 3rd skill works, it's actually quite awesome. I just got one-shotted by what's her name? Psylocke? I was gonna call her Deadpool. Anyways, I got one-shotted by Psylocke, but you can see the value in Hulk's kit. It's just not fully realized. He would be better at tier 3, but I think even at tier 3, it wouldn't really solve his problems. I think this kit, this uniform, is basically like one design away from being very, very strong. I think either, you know, they need to make his 3rd skill an iframe, they need to like double his heal. If he had Wolverine's heal, I think he would be a much scarier character to fight in PvP, and I think he would be much stronger. But in general, I think that Hulk excels against speed types, and he excels against combat types. I think beyond that, you're going to struggle with quite a few blast types. I had quite a bit of difficulty. See right there, I'm just grabbing him out of his iframe and punishing him. And it's kind of fun to play as Hulk. You kind of just smash them around. He's fracture immune, so I can't actually trigger the fracture on him. But we're going to try to kill him here. We don't want him to build up his tier 3 skill because that's really scary. I don't know how he's healing so much. He has a regen, I guess. I'm actually quite impressed that he's able to stick with me for this long. Wow, that was 30 seconds of beatdown. But blast types in general do give Hulk a harder time because he has the type disadvantage. But there we actually got it off. I don't really like Hulk's 5th skill much for PvP because it has a really long animation. But there we were able to kill Captain Marvel, and it's basically the combo. It's that 4-2-3 combo, or kind of like that 3-2 combo, or the 2-3 combo. You've got a long iframe with 2 that starts off with a stun. You've got the 3rd skill, which takes them out of their iframe and stuns them, and then you have the 4th skill for kind of the finisher damage plus the immunity. Now again, this all hinges on the team not using. I have to be very clear here. The team has to be not using a debuff lead like Strife, Doctor Doom, Angel, Jean Grey, Sentinel. Okay, all those characters have to not be in the leadership slot, and then you can't have Wasp on the team. So this is actually not something that happens all that often. Additionally, you'll find that Hulk does quite a bit worse against Captain America. And the reason why he does worse against Captain America is exactly what I'm saying. Captain America has native debuff removal. He has the ability to, every, I think, 10 or 20 seconds, he kind of cleanses himself of debuffs. And so that actually makes it very hard to pin Cap down with the 3rd skill, and you're actually seeing that happening right now. And I actually don't think I'm going to be able to do enough damage to kill him before... Yeah, he's just going to do his tier 3 skill. I'm in trouble. Yep, there you go. And I was playing on manual, and I really just didn't think I had enough to do anything. I didn't have enough damage to get through to penetrate his obelisk. It's a CTP of refinement, actually, which is interesting. I didn't have enough to get through that, and then because of his constant cleansing, I couldn't really do it. So that is kind of the downside to Hulk. And the problem is that the majority of teams I've been cherry picking the ones that don't have debuff. Now let me show you what it looks like fighting a debuff lead. This is a nightmare. And it's frustrating because you want Hulk to be good, and you see that 3rd skill, and you see him slide in between Doctor Doom's iframes, and you're like, oh man, let's do it. This is going down. So there, yeah. See, he just stands there, he's in trouble, and he's dead. It's just bad. He takes too much damage, basically, because his 3rd skill's not an iframe, and because his 3rd skill doesn't have guard break penetration, it doesn't kind of stutter lock the enemy. Imagine Nova's 2nd skill. If Nova's 2nd skill didn't cause that recoil effect, even if you have a CTP of, you know, like a CTP of Authority or a CTP that has guard break immunity or an Obelisk with guard break immunity. Even if you had that, imagine if, or even if you didn't have that, imagine if you know, Nova's skill didn't have that. It just wouldn't work. And you can see there's just nothing I can do. Honestly, I was playing on manual, and I think out of 10 Doctor Dooms, I killed 1 with Hulk. It's just really hard. And this Doctor Doom doesn't have any damage reduction. He's not using Victorious's leadership. It's just really hard. I don't even want to know what what would happen to Hulk against a Thanos. It's not going to be pretty. I'll throw on some autoplay with him now against an ideal team. But this is basically the state of Hulk for PvP. He's not quite there, and he's probably not going to get there. He's going to need another uniform, or he's going to need a pretty substantial rework to this current uniform. Possibly a tier 3 with a change to his healing so that he could stall long enough to get to his tier 3 skill. If his tier 3 skill was massively damaging, like we're talking levels of damage comparable to, like, you know, Captain America's tier 3, that was actually quite impressive, but like Captain America's tier 3 in terms of damage, but in a one-shot, kind of like Mr. Fantastic. If Hulk's tier 3 skill had damage like Mr. Fantastic's, I think it would be possible that he could make more of an impact. But I mean, you can see even on autoplay, he struggles and he kind of bounces between living and dying. He did well against Wolverine, but then he died to Deadpool, which actually doesn't make sense because he has the type advantage against Deadpool, whereas he doesn't have anything against Wolverine, and Wolverine is tankier than Deadpool, so it really doesn't make any sense at all, unless this person's build for Wolverine is very bad and it's kind of PvE oriented, whereas his build for Deadpool is PvP oriented. But I kind of doubt it, because it seems that this Deadpool has a damage proc, and it's actually even worse when you look at more aggressive teams. Like, this is going to be really ugly, but I'll show you just one fight here. Hulk versus Doctor Doom. He just charges in with his third skill. I'll let Wasp go first so she can die, just to give Hulk a little bit more time to charge up his skills, because they're going to be on cooldown. But basically the problem is, and even on auto, Hulk uses his third skill even though there's no iframe, and he just sets himself up. Like right here, you know, he's going to use his third skill and he's going to stand in Doctor Doom's fight, stand in the damage of Doctor Doom's skills. I don't know how he got that kill off, but he basically just stands in the way of the damage and takes it, because he thinks that because of the iframe ignore. But because his skill's not an iframe, he's not protected. If he had invincibility during, if he had invincibility during his third skill, that would make a lot more sense. Or if he had some sort of enhanced heal while he was using his third skill specifically, or even just a temporary buff for a damage reduction, like 5 seconds, 50% damage reduction. But I think that's really the dual-edged sword of a skill that ignores iframes. If the skill that ignores iframes doesn't also have an iframe itself, so I mean Captain Marvel's is super OP because it's also an iframe. But if it's not an iframe, a la Cyclops' third skill or Nova's second skill, then you basically kill them or you're killed, because you're putting yourself directly in the way of any of their skills. You're putting yourself right next to them for the very next skill that they do. And if they've just done a skill that leaves an AoE, you know, Scarlet Witch's 4th skill with the magic, Nova's 5th skill, etc., Doctor Doom's 5th skill. If you're in the way of an AoE, you know, Thanos' 4th skill, you're just gonna take all that damage. Like, imagine Thanos pulls down the meteors with the 4th skill. As he starts doing that, your Hulk runs in, starts doing boxer shuffle. He's getting hammered by meteors. And then at the end of all that, Thanos just does one of his other skills and finishes off your Hulk. And your Hulk can't survive because his heal is so pathetic. So he's just not quite there yet. It's frustrating. I think if you really worked hard and you built your Hulk even better than mine, you know, mythic uniform, all of the Uru, PvP oriented with recovery rate and stuff like that. If you really built him, you know, all Gears 25, you really built him PvP, I think you could have fun with him. He's not going to be banned, I believe, in any of the weeks, so you would never have to worry about that. But, you know, I feel like he is right now just a worse version of Wolverine. He's not like that much worse, but it's like you'd be better off just using Wolverine at tier 3. He's going to be banned once in a while, but he's going to be much more consistent at killing Deadpools, at killing Captain Marvels. He's still not going to be able to kill, you know, Thanos's, but at least he won't die to Doctor Dooms and stuff like that, and, you know, Strifes. I didn't even try a Strife There's no way Hulk is going to survive against Strife. He has the type disadvantage. He gets going to get mangled. So let me know what you guys think of Hulk in PvP. I honestly want the big green idiot to be better, and I mean, it's a lot to ask for. I know that it is kind of greedy to ask for a rework already when we just got this uniform, but man, I kind of wanted Hulk to be meta. He didn't get any love in Endgame, and I wanted him to get love in this game to kind of compensate for that. So, you know, color me greedy, color me green, but I want more for the Hulk. Let me know if you guys agree or not. Hit me up on Twitter, Discord, etc. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.